very warm welcome to you, Mr. Sinha. Thank you for taking out time out of your busy schedule and to have this conversation with us. You, of course, for those of you who don't know, head the business for Treasury for Intellect Design Arena. The Capital Cube is the application that we offer for managing Treasury to the different entities. So last year we saw the launch of Capital Cube 21, the version 21, and we saw it making quite a lot of waves and causing sort of a disruption in a lot of markets. We saw deal wins, in the Far East, in the Oceania region, and that was one of central banks, and even in the Far West, North America and Canada region, there are certain wins. So is there something that you have changed? Things are going right, we are going through a purple patch kind of a thing right now. So is there a new recipe that you have found?
Oh yes, actually quite a lot of things have changed. So, even though our treasury is more than 20 years old, we really brought all of it together in a single platform. And some of the advantages that we have is that, the technology is absolutely the same across front, mid and back, as also all the asset classes. So that was on the technology side, and on the functionality side we made quite a few changes, and that's why we are able to win these customers. And these wins are against some of the toughest competitors anywhere in the world. These are all world-class companies whom we have fought against and won. So yes, version 21 is really a big landmark in our treasury evolution journey.
So we have got a valuable insight on how the traction of businesses happen. We also want to know how the new logos have added in the new geographies and how you have added new business in treasury. What are the new functionalities have been added?
Okay. So quite a few things we have managed to add on our treasury for the Capital Cube product that we have. So the first one that I would like to talk about is the RMU, or the Resource Mobilization Unit. So as you know, while the banks take CASA deposits, so they don't have to worry about the liability side of their balance sheet. But when it comes to the development financial institutions, there they have to really raise the resources from the market, which means issuance of bond and their entire life cycle and so on and so forth. So one of the things that we added is Resource Mobilization Unit, and which has made our product quite attractive to the DFIs, and we are getting increasing traction from the development financial institutions. We also have many other functionalities, but the one that I would like to talk about really are something which relates to the central bank treasury functionality. If you look at the central bank treasury functionality, then the most important thing is their reserve management. Most of the reserve banks or central banks would have their assets designated in some hard currency, and that has to be managed, which is in other words called the reserve management. So we have that extra focus on reserve management, which makes it highly suitable for the central banks. And with that, we have managed to add quite a few customers in the list. Similarly, there are a few other functionalities. For example, you have to have the, let's say, the special drawing rights, which, let's say, a multilateral agency like IMF provides. So the management of those is slightly different than any other asset classes. So those we have added. Similarly, we have things like commodities, which are very, very important for certain resource-rich countries, like gold and so on, other precious metals. So those have got added. Then there are certain types of local settlements, like, let's say, Asian Clearing Unit and so on and so forth, which are very important for those central banks. So those have got added, and that is another one which has helped us to win quite a few deals. In addition to that, there are certain things like LIBOR transition As you know, LIBOR is getting retired, so now that is part of our main product itself. So we don't have to buy any new module or something. That's part of our Capital Q treasury itself. So those are some of the functionalities that we have added, which has helped us to win some of the new deals. Let me see. Oh yes, I should have mentioned PRA. So institutions which are very large balance sheets. So their assets, they get deployed, and their traders and so on, they want to have a look at how those are performing. So we have added quite a lot of functionality to look at those. So portfolio risk analyst is the module that has come on. So those are some of the things which have helped us to, win some of these deals.
In the recent product upgrade, there is a major shift in technology. Can you share the thought process behind it? How technology has played a major role, like in developing all this, shaping all the functionalities?
Okay. So in Intellect Capital Q, we were always very lucky because all our code is written since after 2000. So it was always Java. So that was a huge advantage that we always had. But as we know, a lot of technological advancement has taken place in the last 20 years. And as it is, as treasury solution providers, some of the banks keep saying that while, retail bank and so on, those solutions have kept pace, treasury is always considered a step behind. So we thought, why not embrace those technologies and just catch up with everybody and even try to move ahead of the curve. So while there are many things which have changed on the technology front, I would like to talk about 4 of them. So the first one that I want to talk about is the usability of the product, which essentially affects the UI or the user interface and the user experience. So what we did is that we separated the application logic, the business logic, with the screens through some changes like RESTful APIs and so on and so forth. And for the front, for the screens, we started using latest technology, which gives a lot of flexibility in the screens. So for example, if you look at our version 21 screens, you will see that all the information is on the right side and it's nicely tabbed so that the dealer can go to the right information at a click of a button. And on the left side are the transaction related data which you may want to modify or fill. Some of it is auto-populated, but much of it is auto-populated also, so that the usability of the application is enhanced. And we also could combine this way a lot of screens. So the number of screens that a user was earlier having to navigate has come down drastically. And that makes the usability of the system much better. The second part is a pure technological change, where what we have done is that the business studio or the extension of logic, that we have tried to make it less code. And so that is the second part, which we call the business studio part of our tools. The third part are the interfaces. So as you know, Treasury sits in the center of a lot of other applications, and it has to keep interacting with so many other banking applications. So we have this framework now for interfacing, which helps us to quickly develop an interface if it is not there, and many of the interfaces we already have existing cartridges. So that is another part which I would like to talk about. And the fourth and the final one is a bit futuristic. That's on the API front, or API, the application programming interface has been there for a long time, for as long as I remember. But what is new there are the API standards. Earlier they were defined as Swagger standards, and now we call it Open API standards. So we now have a very large number of Open API compatible interfaces, so to say, or ready to use, ready to consume APIs, which can greatly improve the digitalization of treasury functions, particularly when you're interacting with the outside world. So how your services are consumed by your consumers, or how you are consuming some of the rates and things like that which your service providers are providing. All that can be digitalized, improving your straight-through processing. So those were the 4 main things that I would like to talk about.